Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Moeed Pirzada to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Moeed Pirzada's words. There are two significant developments currently unfolding in front of me. One of these can be termed as a positive development, which relates to the situation in the Middle East and the Muslim world. The other development concerns Pakistan and Azad Kashmir. I mentioned that you can consider these as positive because the term positive is not so easy to use. I would like to present the facts to you. Just a few hours ago, not long ago, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, made an announcement on his Twitter handle Truth Social and essentially issued an order to Israel. He instructed Israel to stop the bombing of Gaza immediately, in light of the communication and message received from Hamas, which stated that they were willing to unconditionally release all hostages, both the living and the dead. Trump told Israel to immediately halt the bombing so that an atmosphere could be created where these hostages could be easily extracted from Gaza. Now, what is the context of this? When I did my previous broadcast with you about 12 hours ago, I mentioned that the most significant international development we were expecting was how Hamas, the militant organization which still governs Gaza, would respond to Trump's ultimatum of 21 points, which he had given them 3 to 4 days to respond to. I had told you that by Thursday or Friday we would expect some response. Now, on Friday morning, before Hamas gave any response, I also mentioned that Trump's team had said that the President of the United States would decide whether to grant any extension to Hamas in this deadline, meaning whether they would increase the time allowed. When Friday began in the United States, Trump made a lengthy post on Truth Social, which included a lot of religious undertones. He stated that the root cause of all the problems was the barbaric organization Hamas, which on October 7th, 2023, killed hundreds of people, men, women and children, whose futures were still ahead of them. He went on to say that Hamas had caused all this destruction. However, he also mentioned that Israel had killed at least 25,000 Hamas fighters so far. The Hamas leadership had been decimated, and now there was an opportunity to resolve this 3,000-year-long conflict if Hamas agreed to his terms. Trump referred to the Middle East conflict as a 3,000-year-old one, which was an interesting choice because just a few weeks ago, in May, he had referred to the India-Pakistan conflict as a 1,000-year-old one, or 700 years, and so on. He now stated that this was the time for Hamas to end the 3,000-year-long conflict if they agreed to his terms, or else he would extend the deadline. He said, "I am giving Hamas until 10 o'clock p.m. Sunday, Eastern Standard Time." The original deadline was to end on Friday, but he extended it by 48 hours. Shortly afterward, Hamas issued a statement which Trump reproduced on his Truth Social account. The statement mentioned that they had held many meetings with their allies, both inside and outside Gaza, including leaders from the Muslim world. They had decided to release all hostages, both living and dead, unconditionally. The Israelis estimate that only 20 hostages remain alive out of the 48 taken, meaning that there would be 28 bodies or their remains. They also asked for more time, saying that they were still discussing other terms and conditions. However, the statement did not mention disarmament. Sources close to Hamas, speaking to Al Jazeera, stated that Hamas was not ready to disarm yet and was requesting more time for negotiations. They were also willing to continue negotiations on other issues. This has created an interesting situation because when Donald Trump first issued his ultimatum on Tuesday, the language did not seem to leave space for further negotiations. However, now that the deadline has been extended, Hamas interpreted this as a chance to continue talks. Interestingly, Hamas's statement praised Trump for the first time. They said they were willing to release the hostages under the terms Trump had set, provided they were granted more time and there were guarantees for a Palestinian state and a meaningful withdrawal plan from Israel. They also requested that Israel's assassination campaign in Gaza and around the world be stopped. As of now, Israel's official response to Hamas's proposals has not yet been seen. I expect that in the next few hours we will get a response both from the United States and Israel. For the time being, Trump's position seems to indicate that he is open to further negotiations, and Israel has been told to stop the bombing. Hamas now expects that Israel will provide a definite withdrawal timeline and some kind of guarantee for a Palestinian state, as well as the cessation of Israel's assassination campaign. On the internal front in Pakistan, there has been some positive development. Dr. Tariq Fazal Chaudhry, a leader from the Pakistan Muslim League, issued a series of tweets and appeared on television programs. He stated that the first round of negotiations with the Awami Action Committee after coming to Muzaffarabad had been successful. All matters were resolved and agreements were reached on all demands. He said that a second round of negotiations began on Friday night and that now they were dealing with constitutional issues. All right, now, even 24 to 12 hours ago, when we had a conversation, the same two principal constitutional issues were in front of them, the resolution of which basically could not be reached. And when Tariq Fazal Chaudhry says that all matters have been resolved, he talks about the Gulban power tariff, the price of flour, and other administrative measures. But the two constitutional issues, which are being described as constitutional issues that remain stuck, are the 12 parliamentary seats that are reserved in the Azad Kashmir Assembly for those Kashmiris who live in Pakistan, in Lahore, Islamabad, Rawalpindi and so on, and participate in elections from there. After that, the President and Prime Minister of Azad Kashmir, based on whatever selection process they have, are elected by these people. The Awami Action Committee believes that these seats are in reality used by Pakistani agencies and institutions to form, undermine and control the Azad Kashmir government. And even if these seats exist, they should be just one or two, and these should be purely cosmetic and for representation purposes. They argue that these seats should not play any role in the election of the Prime Minister or President of Azad Kashmir. The position of the Azad Kashmir government or the Pakistani delegation here is that these issues are constitutional. Another constitutional issue is the number of ministers. As I mentioned in my previous vlog, within the total of 53 members of the Assembly, 34 are regular ministers, 10 are advisor-level ministers, and there are 30 to 40 powerful, expensive civil servants who are extremely costly and consume a significant portion of the budget. Out of the 330 to 340 billion rupees budget, almost 100 billion is consumed by this bureaucracy. So, the number of ministers needs to be reduced, and this is also being called a constitutional issue here. These are the two developments that are considered positive developments in the current situation. Now, regarding the situation in Azad Kashmir, there is a severe reaction and response from within Pakistan. For instance, the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan has taken a firm position on this matter. They have expressed great concern because this is the first time that developments inside Pakistan, which generally don't make international headlines or get discussed by the international media, are now becoming a global topic. After a one-day delay, initially only Indian newspapers were claiming that 12 people were martyred. Pakistani bloggers were saying that more than 12 had been martyred, 16 people had been martyred. But now, newspapers from the United States, United Kingdom, and international wire agencies are also covering the matter. Amnesty International has also taken a position on this, and the Human Rights Commission has also spoken up. Pakistani newspapers are now openly writing about it. Even Pakistan's own English-language newspaper, like Dawn, reported that 10 people had been martyred. Although privately, people believe the loss of life is much higher. So this is the situation in Azad Kashmir, which I discussed in my previous vlog in a very interesting thesis. I had explained how the people of Azad Kashmir severely criticized the police forces sent by Islamabad and Azad Kashmir police, which were being used by Pakistani authorities in the same way that Punjab uses them. The streets of Muzaffarabad are filled with images of police officers being beaten up and their uniforms and trousers being hung on the streets. In some places there was even an auction of their broken helmets and trousers. The people of Azad Kashmir treated the police forces, who had dared to enter their homes, in such a manner. This is the same process that began in Punjab in May 2022. But unfortunately, in Punjab, people couldn't take a strong stand against it. I explained that this wasn't due to cowardice or lack of honor, but because of a lack of political awareness. The difference that we see between Azad Kashmir and Punjab is that Azad Kashmir has a defined identity. We are Kashmiris, we are Azad Kashmiris, which is in contrast to the lack of a clearly defined identity in Punjab. This is the same feeling that the Bengalis had. It's the same feeling that the people of Azad Kashmir have today. They see themselves as separate from Pakistan. This is a dangerous sentiment. When people forget that Pakistan's legal relationship with Azad Kashmir is as tense and weak as India's legal relationship with occupied Jammu and Kashmir, if not weaker, then this emotional and political bond becomes even more dangerous. Pakistan's bond with Azad Kashmir is stronger not because of a legal framework, but because of an ethnic, political and religious connection. If this bond is disturbed by actions like these, no law or military power can solve the issue. For a country already facing different kinds of insurgencies, like in Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Fatah, this is a critical issue. I believe that this understanding to some extent exists in Pakistan's general headquarters, which is why Shahbaz Sharif recently formed an 8-member delegation, which includes key members from both PMLN and PPP. From PMLN, there are Tariq Fazal Chaudhry, Rana Sanaullah, and Sada Masood Khan, and from PPP, Raja Pervez Ashraf, who has been the former Prime Minister and Minister of Water and Power. They have been sent to resolve this issue, and the development so far seems positive, suggesting that Islamabad has realized that this matter must be resolved without further violence. Why did we need to bring this situation to this point when it could have been resolved earlier? Let's see what happens in the next 12 hours. I'll update you again regarding this issue. Before I finish, I quickly want to mention the seminar I attended, which I came here for. The topic of the seminar was hateful ideologies, with the focus on Hindutva. An Indian journalist friend sent me an invitation, and I assumed that the Indian community would be holding a discussion on Hindutva and its hateful ideology. I was eager to see how some liberal, open-minded Indians might engage in analyzing Hindutva as a hate-filled ideology. But when I reached there, I realized the room was filled with Pakistanis, and I found out that the event was organized in connection with a grand conference at the Washington, D.C. convention. The organizers were decent people, and I asked them my objection. I said, if the Pakistani community organizes such an event, it loses its purpose, especially if it's under the banner of an organization like APNA. They agreed that awareness should be raised on the issue of Hindutva, and their intent was genuine. However, APNA should not have been involved in this. The posters, banners and materials with the APNA logo were inappropriate, as APNA is affiliated with Pakistanis and not Indian issues. It would be like an Indian organization organizing a seminar on Pakistan under a banner and inviting a few Pakistanis to speak. This would distort the message. Such discussions should always be held on a neutral platform or within their own community. Pakistanis can discuss transnational repression from Pakistan, but if Indians discuss it within their own academic or neutral platforms, it would have a better and more impactful message. I believe this discussion would have been more effective if it had been on an independent platform. Among the speakers were Dr. Audrey Trust, a professor, and Shama Samvant, a congressional candidate who both spoke brilliantly. But I think the discussion would have had more impact if it had been in a neutral space.
That wraps up our translation of Moeed Pirzada's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share, and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.